know today at the info desk or towards the end of this month, we'll be doing a corporate endeavor or collective activity during service. But we want you to know that we would love to have you a part of our family. Anybody want them to be a part of the TLC family? Make some noise. Amen. 1 Samuel 13, let's get into the word. Verse 19, it says, not a blacksmith could be found in the whole land of Israel, because the Philistines had said, otherwise the Hebrews will make swords or spears. So all of Israel went down to the Philistines to have their plow points, mattocks, axes, and sickles sharpened. The price was 2/3 of a shekel for sharpening plow points and mattocks, and 1/3 of a shekel for sharpening forks and axes and for repointing gold. So on the day of battle, not a soldier with Saul and Jonathan had a sword or spear in his hand. Only Saul and his son Jonathan had them. Verse 19, not a blacksmith could be found in the whole land of Israel. I want to read one more passage for you. Let's go to 1 Samuel 14. Verse 1. Just one chapter over. I want to show you how the story progresses, and then we're going to fill in some of the blanks. 1 Samuel 14:1. One day Jonathan, son of Saul, said to his young armor bearer, come, let us go to the Philistine outpost on the other side. But he did not tell his father. Verse 6. Jonathan said to his young armor bearer, come, let us go over this outpost, uncircumcised men. Perhaps the Lord will act on our behalf. Nothing can hinder the Lord from saving, whether by many or by few. Do all that you have in mind, his armor bearer said. Go ahead, I am with you, heart and soul. So Jonathan said, come on, we will cross over toward them and let them see us. And if they say to us, wait there, we will come to you. We will stay where we are and not go up to them. But if they say, come up to us, we will climb up, because that will be our sign from the Lord that he has given them into our hands. So both of them showed themselves to the Philistines. And look, said the Philistines, shouted Jonathan and his armor bearer, come up to us, we'll teach you a lesson. So Jonathan said to his armor bearer, climb up here after me. The Lord has, somebody say has. Say it a little bit louder, say has. Given them into the hand of Israel. Jonathan climbed up using his hands and feet with his armor bearer right behind him. And the Philistines fell before Jonathan, and his armor bearer followed and killed behind him. In that first attack, Jonathan and his armor bearer killed some 20 men in the area, about a half an acre. I want to preach this first installment of second wind. Can you just tap your neighbor and say, get your second wind, get your second wind, get your second wind. Whenever we think about this word second wind, it's an interesting word. It's become popular through the runner's world. I don't know if I have any runners in the room. That is not my testimony. But for runners, it's a common term. It was originated in their world and their culture, where a runner who essentially had made it to their capacity, when they reached the point where they felt like they could do no more, there was something called the second wind. And the second wind is defined as newfound strength or energy to give you the effort to continue. Newfound strength or energy that gives you the effort to continue. The second wind. It's now a term that we use in many areas, whether it's our personal lives, whether it's playing any sport, not just running, but we tell people all the time, to get your second wind. We're saying get your newfound strength, your newfound energy, so that you can have continuous effort. And I think it is most applicable even when we look at where we're at in our year. We're in December, and some of us, if we can testify to it, just say, hey man, I need y'all to talk back to me today a little bit. I feel real Baptist today. Is that all right with y'all? All right, good. I'm just making sure y'all was ready. You ready? I know you ready. Come on. This right here, this right now. I've got nobody else. I got two on this side. Come on. It's important that we understand the second wind. It says, when we approach this season of the year, many of us, if we be honest, we just survived last year. Like we got through. Like that was our first win. Our win was that we didn't give up. Our win was that we didn't quit. Our win was that we didn't divorce. Our win was that we just stayed on the job. Like we can't testify to much promotion and prosperity and excitement. All we can testify to the fact is that we actually survived. And that's a win for some of us. But I think it is a dangerous place to be in if that's the only win we get excited about. If that first win to survive, I think God wants more for us than just to survive, but he also wants us to thrive in life. And that means that there's a second win. One win is just surviving, but there's another win that we have to win. There's another battle. There's another accomplishment that is awaiting us. And I think when we look at where we're at in the year, we're approaching this newfound year, we're closing out one year. I think God is going to inspire some of us through this series to get that newfound strength and newfound energy we need to tackle this second win. And I'm about to give you a word that we don't use often, but I believe it is the second win that you need, that second strength, that second energy to endure, to really make it to the next level of what God has for you. And it is found in a word called ontological identity. Some of y'all are like, bruh, why? I got 3 friends right now like, bro, you need to say that word, you know. Ontological identity. Ontological identity is defined as the power to be or become. To find your intuitive or your natural state of being. It's a theological term we studied in seminary extensively because it was trying to, our professor was trying to get us to understand that every single person in the world, they believe, if you believe this theological principle, was created by God with an original intent and purpose. That you were designed to be a way and become. That you were designed to do something uniquely crafted for your identity. But in a culture that celebrates product and laments process, many of us don't have the stamina to become. So we settle for being whatever we are. God created us. He gave us an intimate purpose and identity. He handcrafted us, molded us. He said, there's so much I have for you independently, but you have to want to win the battle of becoming. You have to want to win the battle of being who I've called you to be. And this is so important because the greatest reflection of our salvation should not be imitation, but a revelation about who we are called to be and become. See, one of the dangers of religiosity is that we create great clones. And so what we tell you is salvation means that you'll look and act and think like everybody else around you. But I want to say this statement again. The greatest reflection of your salvation should be a revelation of who has God called me to be and become. Because drawing close to God is not solely about having a greater understanding of Him. As He reveals Himself to you, He also reveals yourself to you. Oh boy, this is going to be good. I'm so excited about this series. Part of our excitement about building intimacy with God is, God, I thought I knew me. But the closer I get to you, the more I now understand. I didn't even really understand myself. I thought they were my type. But now that I got a better understanding of my purpose, I don't even want to go over there anymore. God, I thought I enjoyed this environment. But the more I understand who you actually created me to be and become, this environment isn't even enjoyable anymore. The closer I get to you, not only am I getting a better understanding of you, I'm getting a better understanding of myself. God's intent for us is to become. He said, I want an ontological purity from you. I want you to be who I have called you to be. Now, here's the danger, right? Because if you neglect that reality, it's very dangerous to me because it is a sin against yourself. Essentially, it is to say to God, I like my idea of me better than your idea of me. I got 3 praises over here. We talked to a few people over here. Anybody ever gave somebody a gift and been underwhelmed with their response? I'm talking, let me go here real quick. Y'all know I'm excited now. I get to walk a little bit. I can't bend this thing, but I sure can limp on it. Y'all ain't said nothing. I ain't worried. I'm secure. Shannon, come here real quick. I don't know about y'all, but I remember times when I would give somebody a gift and go ahead and unwrap it. And while they're unwrapping, because you know what's in it, George, you hype, right? Like, you like, watch this, yo. Watch this. Watch this. Okay. Get there. Yeah. Yeah, just do a little something for you. And then you get a response like that. And you be like, that's it? That's it. And low-key in your heart, you want to take it back. You be like, I wish I would have spent less money. If that was going to be the level of your excitement, that should have been the level of my gift. Thank you so much. See, many of us, we laugh about that with people, and some of y'all want to experience that during Christmas. Look, we just prayed for reconciliation. Don't let them consume your heart. Some of y'all want to leave Christmas and be like, forget it, ain't mine. Nobody else, no more gifts. They don't appreciate nothing over here. But it's important, watch this, because many of us do the same thing to God all the time. He's given you an intuitive and a great gift. He said, I created you with an ontological identity. I created you to be unique. I created you with a specific purpose. I created you to create and be and become. But here's the problem. You're not excited about unwrapping the gift. And I think God may be underwhelmed with some of us because he said, I've given you such a great gift, but you haven't done anything with it. And as we start preparing for this next year, I believe some of you survive, but I believe you're going to start thriving when you get to a place where you say, I don't just want to exist, and I don't just want to survive, but God, I want to become all that you called me to become. God, I want my identity to be so intimately connected to who you are that when people see me, they say there is no doubt in my mind that they are pursued and purposed by God. Watch this, y'all. This is so exciting for me because when we start to think about our idea of God, culture doesn't use this word ontological identity. Right? They don't use that word. When's the last time you've been having a conversation with somebody and they're like, your ontological identity is just really... But culture does have a word for it. The word that culture uses to define this tension, this tendency, is potential. The word potential is literally defined as the capacity to become. To develop into something in your future. To become what God has called you to be. And I want to talk over the next few weeks. Next week, we're going to deal how potential is affected by your past. And week 3, we're going to deal with how potential is affected by your promise. But today, I want to talk about how potential is affected by your perspective. Because we're not waiting for January 1 to get our minds ready for the new year. We're going to win a battle now internally so that we don't sin against our own gift and sin against our own self. We say, God, I want to manifest my full potential. Okay, let me talk about this word potential because all of us wrestle with potential in some capacity. Everybody's not called to start a business, but some of you could be giving greater effort at your job. You have the potential to be a standout employee. You have the potential to become a great husband or wife. You have the potential to be a better friend. You have the potential to be a community supporter. You have the potential to be an entrepreneur. You have the potential, but you are not truly activating what is inside of you. You're living, celebrating your first win, but you are neglecting the second win. The win of becoming. Win of finding out who God has called you to be. In this text, let me talk about the Bible for just a moment. We talk about this character named Jonathan. And Jonathan is interesting to me because he's the son of Saul, and he's in this interesting position. He's in this situation where his dad is losing a battle. Now, I think this is funny because I never really recognized until I read this passage. Like, Saul always needs help. Like, one minute he's scared and David got to help him, and then another minute he's scared and Jonathan got to help him. Like, I'm like, man, Saul might not have been the leader. Like, they should have voted him out. Like, you know, like, he always was running and hiding. But anyway, that's another story, another sermon for another day. It dawned on me that Jonathan is in a position where they have survived, but they're hiding. They've survived this fight with the Philistines. But is it really, living if I survive, we're alive? But if you look at the text, it tells you that they were in an interesting position that they had no blacksmith in the region. So all of the things that they needed to produce in their lives, all of the things they needed to grow in their lives, they had to go to their enemy. They had to go to another place to get them to produce. So they said they took their axes and all of their farm tools, mattocks and all of these different things, and they had those things sharpened for them. So watch this. They said, we will give you the tools to farm, but not to fight. So they would go to them and say, hey, look, we need something, and they would sharpen it for them. And our historical research tells us something very interesting. It tells us that there wasn't a shortage of iron in the region. So the Israelites had iron. The text said they just didn't have blacksmith. Which means they had the stuff they needed. They just didn't have what they needed to produce. I started studying the process of making iron. Rivers, be ready, because I'm feeling something in my belly. And when you study the process of iron, they would take it in a bowl and all these small rocks, and they would heat it, get all the materials together initially. Had three phases to it. Matter of fact, the first phase was called forging. You get all the small iron particles inside, and you start to heat certain ones, and you will be able to sift out the ones that were strong enough to make it through the rest of the process. It's called the forging process. You heat up some of them, you put them in the pot, you get to see, and you found out which ones could make it, which ones could survive, which ones were strong enough, which ones really wanted to become. Then the second phase is after they determined and sectioned off which ones had the strength and the capacity to develop and become. Then they started, watch this, they started to then send it to the swordsmith. And the swordsmith would take the material, and the swordsmith would then begin to heat it at a high level. And every time the swordsmith would take it out, it would then beat it back down and put it back in. And they said it would generally do this about 16 times. It would put in the good pieces. It would heat them up as hot as they could take it out, beat it back down, and then put it back in the fire. Okay, let me help 3 people right there. If you're going to become all that God has called you to become, the first thing you got to do is get a little bit more courage and a little bit more insensitive. You can't be so sensitive all the time. You got to be able to take some heat and some inconvenience and some attitudes and some opinions. Okay, only got 10 people, but I believe some of us have not been able to become because we can't take nobody's ideas and opinions, and if they don't like me, I'm going to fall apart, and if they post something about me, I'm going to fall apart. But I wish I had 20 people today say, God, put me in the fire. If it means I can become, if it means I can create, if it means our identity will be rich, God, put me in the fire. And we got so many people scared to be in the fire, but everybody want to become. We got a whole culture of people that say, don't talk about me, but everybody wants to become. A whole culture of people who say, I want to be at the top, but scared to become. Because watch this, we haven't even got to phase 3 yet, but watch this. Because many of us, we want the customization that comes in the finish, but not the pain of the process. We want to get to the end and be recognized and customized and look good. But there is a process where you are put in fire, and a process where you are beat back down, and a process sometimes where God takes you through it and he says, I'm not doing it to kill you, I'm doing it to create in you the identity, but that identity can't be produced unless you can handle the process. We got potential, but can we go through the process to become? Because here's the challenge that the people of Israel were dealing with. They had the stuff, but they didn't understand the process. Text doesn't tell us they didn't have any iron. It tells us they didn't have any blacksmith. So I got it, but I don't know what to do with it. I got everything I need to become all God has called me to be. This is even cultural when we look at systematic oppressions and we look at different policies and procedures. We can see this in certain communities because we will tell people you have all the raw talent in the world, but if we just remove the resources for you to become, if we just put the jobs out of reach, if we just minimize access to support it, if we just give you hand-me-outs, but only to a certain level. We give you the equipment to work, but not the equipment to become the weapon that you've been called to be. Can I tell y'all something? Many of us are comfortable being a work in progress. Anybody love that quote? I'm a work in progress. I got any works in progress today in the church? Works in progress. I'm a work in progress. And while you become comfortable being a work in progress, you never become a weapon in progress. You never become. They had all the tools. They had the iron. So they had the ability to become a weapon, but they just didn't know the process. They didn't know how to produce. Here it is in the text. It says that they didn't have it. And so my question then becomes, once you know that you have it, what are you going to do with it? What are you going to do with what you have? Okay, the story tells us that after a while, Jonathan got fed up with the scenario. Because there's something that happens after you identify that you have it. You got to understand, Maya Angelou says it like this. She says, one isn't necessarily born with courage, but one is born with potential. Without courage, though, we cannot practice any other virtue with consistency. She says, I promise you this. Everybody has potential, but not everybody has courage. And so we're going to leave this room, and some people are going to say, I got potential, but there's another phase. But do you have courage? Because that may not be intuitive, that may not be natural, but that's when you have to say, God, I don't have the confidence, but I trust you. God, I don't have the resources, but I trust you. God, I don't know how I'm going to make it, but I trust you. Because if you don't, here's the danger. Many of us will live our lives in raw form. See, nobody had a sword. So they were comfortable being the work in progress, but never becoming the weapon in progress. But Jonathan said one day in 1 Samuel 14, he said he didn't even tell his father, which was uncustomary because in this day and time, you didn't just start a battle on your own. He said, I'm tired of sitting here hiding. I'm tired of just being a work in progress. I'm tired of being dependent. I'm tired of being desperate. I'm tired of hand-me-outs. I'm tired of not living up to my potential. So one day, Jonathan made a decision to say, I'm going to take what I got and do something with it. Okay, let me talk to y'all over here for just a second. I wonder what would happen in our lives as we prepare for next year. If many of us decided that I don't just want to be a work in progress, but God has called me to be a weapon in progress. I wonder what happened if we were like Jonathan, where we say, why am I waiting on people to tell me what I already got? And what if I just made up in my mind that I'm going to take initiative and I'm going to start crossing over into places that God has already given me? Because he's already told me I'm great. He's already told me I'm wonderful. He's already told me I have potential. But I'm sitting here waiting on somebody to celebrate what God has already put in my hand. He said, I got a sword, so let me cross on over and start doing something with it. Jonathan said, I refuse to sit here with what I have. Jonathan said, I got something. I believe many of us, we have something, but we got to go through the process to forge it, to develop it, to become. To become. And here it is, Jonathan is walking. I love what Jonathan does, y'all. Verse 12. Can you put verse 12 up on the screen for me real quick? This messed me up. Tap your neighbor, say it's going to mess you up too. Okay. This is my little churchy moment. Come on, real quick. Using this as a cane now. This is nice. Hebrews are crawling out of the holes they were hiding in. These are the people talking about it. See, it's interesting. Whenever you start making a decision to become the weapon that God called you to be, and you stop sitting down on the sidelines, and you stop waiting for something to happen, and you start doing something, watch it. Then people start talking, and insults start to fly. It was cool. This is what messed me up. They're in war, but they were still comfortable with them coming to get supplies from them, which suggests to us that they were comfortable, Sam, with interacting. They could forge tools for you. But when they saw Jonathan, they made an insult. Look at these Hebrews. They're crawling out of the holes. They were hiding in. The men shouted, Jonathan's armor bearer, come up to us and we'll teach you a lesson. Now, for many of us, that would have been the end of the story. Like, who are they talking to? So I'm going to teach you a lesson. And what many of us would have took as intimidation, Jonathan took as an invitation. Go to the next passage. So Jonathan said to his armor bearer, faith, this one is good for me. This will mess me up. This is embody your name. Watch this right here. Climb up after me because the Lord has given them into the hand of Israel. How do you speak in past tense about a battle you haven't fought yet? Rivers, please help me right here. He says, come on with me because the Lord has done it. But they ain't fought nobody yet. To me, he said, I got the victory. But you ain't fought nobody yet. Which suggests to me that Jonathan understood something about God that many of us miss when it comes to developing our potential. That the power to become is not always factual. Sometimes it has to be faithful. Sometimes you got to make up in your mind, I'm going to start speaking about stuff like it's already happened. Sometimes you got to make up in your mind, I'm not waiting for next year to see some stuff. I made up in my mind, it's already done. I made up in my mind, it's past tense. God has already given me the victory. God has already opened the door. God has already seeing something. God has already provided. God has already protected. I'm not waiting on a testimony. I'm going to make a testimony. I wish I had some people that said, I'm not waiting on something to talk about. I'm going to tell you what I'm about to talk about. Can I get 30 people to get excited about a past tense victory that you ain't even fought yet? I dare you to say, God, it's already done. I wish I had 20 more people who said after all I've been through in 2016, let me stop talking about it like it might happen. Maybe I should start talking about it like it's already. He said it's past tense. It's already done. He said I'm not waiting on the testimony. I'm going to tell you what the testimony is about to be. I dare somebody to start posting stuff on your Instagram today. Let me tell you what's about to happen next year. Let me tell you what I'm about to see. Let me tell you what I'm about to feel. Let me tell you what my marriage about to look like. Let me tell you what my job about to look like. Let me tell you what my emotional about to be. Let me tell you what the testimony already is. He said, come on, because he's already done. Now, I know we're not a churchy church, but I wish I had somebody who would just shout unto God, because you said it's already done. I can't hear nobody. I said, you giving them a shout before the battle happened. You giving them a shout before anything happened. You said, I know it's done. Come on, we got 30 more seconds. For somebody who said, I already know what happened. I already see it. Yeah. Now I know some of y'all are used to all that noise, but there's a few of us today who say, I'm making noise because I don't need the end of the sermon to recognize that I just got everything I needed. I'm going to start talking about stuff in the past. It made away. It's already done. Okay, let me see if I can hear some parts. I can say. Best I can tell you today. Can you just do me one more favor? Can you just look at your neighbor real quick? I know that's the churchy thing to do. But can you just tell your neighbor, hey, it's past tense. It's past tense. Say it's past tense. I ain't seen it yet, but it's past tense. It ain't happened yet, but it's past tense. When you even work out the way you want it to. It's just the reality that God is doing something because I'm his child. I may not understand his plan, but as long as I trust that he has one, I can start saying stuff with confidence like it's already happening. Not because I know what he's going to do, but because I know he won't let me be here by myself. I know. So Jonathan says, come with me because it's already. So he's given us the victory. Now have a seat because y'all scaring me real quick. There's like 20 people in our church right now. 20 people in our church right now didn't know what just happened. Let me help a few people in the room who don't understand why we're being so dramatic. This is what you have to understand. There's some things you go through in life where everything around you, the report says there's no positive ending. And see, if you've never been in a place in your life where every result said it's impossible, and everything is said it won't happen, and everything said it's impossible, you won't understand when you have to worship through some stuff. But there's a few of us who can testify that I've been in some places and spaces where the doctor's report and the place they come and my friends and my family say it is impossible. But thanks be to God that I can talk in past tense. And so then we sing stuff like this. We sing stuff like this. Say, I gotta praise, and I gotta get it out. I gotta praise. I guess somebody sing it real loud. I gotta praise. One more time, say I got you. I gotta praise. Anybody ready for 2017 like me? Like I'm not waiting for January 1. Like I already feel that there's some stuff that he's doing. So I dare somebody say, I'm becoming a sword. I'm becoming a sword. I'm taking it and I'm going to do something with it. I got something in it. Look, everybody can stand on your feet. Everybody standing on your feet for a moment. Look, y'all, I will move, but I feel like somebody feels inspired today. I feel like somebody feels the fire coming back. I feel like somebody over here made a decision and they won't give it up. I feel like somebody over here made up in their mind, God can still do it. I feel like somebody in the middle made up the fact that I'm not giving up on my marriage. I'm not giving up on this dream. I got something. You would do me a favor, lift your hands. got something. Say, I got something. Jonathan said, we don't got no blacksmith, but I got something. What the enemy wants to do is put you in a place where you have all that you need inside, but you're not maximizing your potential. You're waiting on a blacksmith to show up. You're waiting. And when you look around, you say, I got it, but I don't know what to do with it. And I feel stuck. And I feel trapped. God said, I just wanted somebody to know today. I wanted somebody to know today that you're not just a work in progress. You are a weapon in progress. Are y'all hearing me today? You are not just a work in progress. You are a weapon in progress. And we don't scream, jump, and yell just because it's cardio. We scream, jump, and yell because sometimes you gotta celebrate things before they happen. Because if you only learn to celebrate when it's done, watch this, listen to me, listen. This is important. You need to hear this. If you only can celebrate when you arrive at it, by the time you get there, you would not have survived it. Hear me. The process would have destroyed you. You'll still be living, but you'll be bitter. You'll still be alive, but you'll be too broken to enjoy the promise. Remember the process. It started off, and you gotta remember, it said there were some spaces where the fire is gonna heat you up, where life is gonna beat you down, where things are gonna happen, but it's a part of the process of becoming. It's not always comfortable, it's not all convenient, but we make a decision today, a conscious decision to say, God, I will not sin against myself. God, I want to become all that you have called me to be. I'm not comfortable with my idea of me. I want your idea of me. I want to get my second win. I want to get my second win. I want to move from just raw material to becoming the sword that you called me to be. I don't want to just be a work in progress. I want to be a weapon.